19. I don't have the M chip.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock and the required quorum of 40 are present. So the meeting is called to order. Please keep in mind, if you want to speak today during our meeting, I ask that you please form a line. We will have a microphone. Please speak, state your name, your address. Keep your comments to 2 minutes, please, and only speak twice on any given subject. And for the meeting today, I ask that we please be kind and respectful in our comments. So I'm pleased to share we have some exciting news. We have a new website. The not so great news, our previous site suffered a complete crash over the winter, which forced us to launch the new website a bit earlier than we had done. And while it's very much a work in progress, we appreciate your patience as we continue to build and improve it. It will be great. It's going to wind up having interactive forms. You don't have to print them out and then send them to somebody. You can download them, or you can interactively fill them out. So we are progressing on that. We thank you for your patience. And due to the crash, you are currently unable to see our YouTube minutes that we also upgraded to. So for the last year or more, maybe year and a half, we YouTube stream, which we're doing with this meeting as well. We YouTube stream the meetings instead of written minutes. So you see, there's no approval of minutes because what you see is what you
can't understand.
So we do have a YouTube site that you can go to now, but it will be on the website eventually, where you can just click a link to it. But it's www.youtube.com/@Lake Hayward. And I will put out an email blast with that on there. And you can look at, I don't know, there's probably about, it started in 2023. So any board meeting or going forward, any meeting will be on there. So no approval of minutes. Let's see. Okay, also, we have instituted a properties team reach. It's an app, and what it does is it takes anybody that wants to volunteer in any of our functions. You would join the Team Reach app. It's a properties Team Reach app. And when we have a work party or we have something special going on that we need help with, like for instance, power washing the pavilion or something like that, we'll put it on Team Reach. We'll say how many people we need, when it starts. And the group code is PULA124. And that's also 214, our address. That's also in our newsletter. But if you're interested in that, you can talk to myself or Chris or any board member can help you get onto that app. I think we have about 35 people on it so far, and we've had a tremendous. It's been a good community builder. A lot of faces that weren't before come out and help because they know. So it's been a success. So looking ahead, we're planning for a bylaws committee this year. Most of the work will take place during the fall and winter months. And thanks to technology, you don't need to be at the lake to participate. Meetings will be held virtually as well as in person. So making it easier for anybody interested to get involved. So consider volunteering. An email blast will go out soon with more information on it. So thank you all for being here and for your continued engagement and support. With that, we're going to move on to the Vice President's report. hang on a second, she's coming up there. She's multitasking. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well,
I missed roll call. Here, we did a roll call. Lori, President. Julia,
yes, here.
Dave,
Here.
Jeff,
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Nancy,
Here.
Evelyn, and Denise is over here.
I'm Chris.
Sticking with the roll call.
We recognize that.
Sorry. Okay, so Julia. Briefly, some of you have seen us set up in the back. We've taken on an initiative this spring to update our database and make sure any member who would like to be registered to vote is registered to vote. So that's what we're doing in the back. We use constant contact with the electronic way to communicate. You can access our newsletters and important information on the website. However, if you would like to receive that information directly, you can sign up with us with your email, including constant contacts, and it's directly sent out to you, all of our communications. That's email blast and the newsletter. So, along with that, we were verifying if you're a member, and if you are, if you wanted to vote. So, in either case, most of you, I think we've caught everybody today, but we're in the back if you need a voter registration form. And we have a lot of important matters coming to the association in the near future that will require voting. So we encourage, talk to your neighbors, anybody who would like to vote, make sure they come and see us. We're happy to get more people registered to vote across that. We have a more effective, what the community actually wants, voting for what we want. So that is it. Thank you, Julia. We're going to go over to our financial reports with Lynn Christie, our tax collector. Hello, I'm Lynn Christie, your tax collector. Very happy to report 100% of taxes are collected. We have nothing due or owing to us, so that's great news. You may have noticed that this year, unlike last year, I didn't have tax bills to hand out, and that's has everything to do with East Haddam. So the good news is, well, the bad news is I have no tax bills to hand out. The good news is you get 30 extra days, and this has everything to do with East Haddam. If you've been watching the East Haddam news, you may have noticed that the tax referendum did not pass. So there is by the way, as property owners here, you also have a right to vote in East Haddam. So you can register to vote for them. They have a public hearing that will be this week. And their next referendum is going to be, make sure, July 22nd. So that's the next time the vote will come up for the budget. So what does this mean for us here and your tax bill? Because the referendum didn't pass, the East Haddam couldn't set their mill rate. Their assessor didn't release the records for assessment records. The assessment records are what go to our software vendor and generate the bills. That's why we're delayed. So the bill will be due August 1st. Start accruing interest / late September 1st. Now, when that referendum comes up in July 22nd, it may not pass again. Not going to make any difference for your bill here. They're going to go ahead and release the records regardless. If they have to bill based on an estimate, you'll be getting an estimated bill from East Haddam, but you'll be getting a real bill from me. So you can watch for that coming out as of August 1st. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. I just also want to know that Lynn has been very helpful in a lot of the other initiatives that we've taken on, like the constant contact. He's helped with the tax goal so that we can compare. And anytime, we're looking at her now for, I don't know if we spoke with you, but to help out with all the new members, we're looking to do a welcome committee. So Lynn does a little bit more than just the tax questions. She helps us with a lot of other stuff. So thank you. Okay, next we're going to move into treasurer, Lisa Hover. morning. I'm gonna be really brief. The reports get filed monthly and you have access to them. If because of the website, you don't get to see them, but you want to see them, just email me. I will send them to you personally until that gets up and running. We are in transition from Quicken to QuickBooks, and it's been a bit of a thing. But we're gonna start this next fiscal year with QuickBooks, run concurrently with Quicken, and then when we're good and firm, we'll just drop an engine and just go ahead with QuickBooks. But if anybody has anything specific, treasurer@lakehaywardct.com, and I will get back to you. Thanks. Thank you, Lisa.
Dog approved.
So next on our agenda is our asset management, and that would be Dave Giroux.
So Lori asked me to speak on this. I told her about 45 minutes. So no, I meant 4 or 5 minutes. Anyway, so what we've done over the past year and a half is we've cataloged all of our major and minor assets. So we now know exactly what the association owns and where it is. Members of the board have assigned the major assets. So everybody on the board has a major asset that they're cognizant of. And based on that, we have developed a needs-based format. For example, like the pavilion, Chris is cognizant of the pavilion. We've projected what the pavilion will need over the next 10, 15 years, like this scaling, et cetera, things like that. We can take that tool and then share that with the finance committee as to what we project will be needed for each one of the assets. And it allows us better financial planning as we go along, avoiding things like assessments and things like that. It just seems like a much more linear and easy flow to work with. We started earmarking some funds. We started this last year, as you may have noticed in the budget last year's approval cycle, there were funds allocated to certain assets, and we intend to continue doing that. I don't know if there's any questions related to the assets, but feel free. One, excellent. So I'm just move on to insurance.
So our next item on the agenda is pool insurance. So that's also David's talking.
All right. So in insurance, we had questions about swimming lessons and tennis lessons, and we put all these questions to our broker, which is Bouvier Insurance. When we asked the questions of them, we had some discoveries relative to the policies that we have in place. We discovered that we do not have any sort of liability insurance for any event that takes place on the school or cognizance. This was a significant discovery, okay? And they told us that some things they may not even want to insure in the future. So what we did was we started looking at alternative carriers. Was there a possibility for an alternative carrier that would cover us for things like events-based policies and things like that? To this point, we have not found a carrier that will do that. We continue to work with Bouvier, who's our broker, and works with multiple carriers to try and come up with an events-based policy or a better solution for what we're doing. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in the liability, okay? And we're trying to get this into our next cycle, which is in July when we renew the policy. Any questions relative to what's going on with insurance?
Harry Eckert, 277 Lakeshore Drive. Our events are not open to the public. And I think that's a very important concern. They are only open to Pula residents and their guests and not the public. And I would think that an insurance company could handle that. For an example, the Polish Center in the center of Colchester has events that they have regularly. I'm sure the people who are invited, who are from the public, they may have an additional amount of expense in their insurance, but if they're members, they shouldn't have that additional expense. So I hope that you're looking into that and making sure the insurance companies know that these are not events open to the public.
I've noted your point. I will also tell you that the insurance company has asked for, related to each one of the events, specific definition as to what event is taking place. And it's not like they're just trying to, say no to us or just blanket no. They're trying to work with us to understand what we want coverage for and what the extent of it is.
Lisa Holder, 100 Wildwood Road. So initially you said that this started because of swimming lesson inquiries and tennis lesson inquiries, and you found out that our events, which is a kind of a blanket statement. Can you give us examples of what all of a sudden is causing alarm of our normal events as it appears in our reports? For example, our bands, our bingos, or any of that. What specifically is causing alarm that might be new that has to be covered?
To answer your question, I'm not aware of anything that's new, okay? They asked for a definition of everything that takes place here in the summer months. We defined that for them. Members of the board took and checked what we gave to them. They've come back with additional questions, which I shared with them. I know they're out there someplace, regarding things like when you're working with children, are the children left alone? If the children are left alone, what's the training that individuals who are supervising the children have had? There's a whole host of items that, so we want to make sure that what we're sharing with them, just like I'm sharing with you right now, is full disclosure of what's going on, because we don't want to have something happen and then find out that it wasn't covered.
Diane Camacho, 134 Longwood. Question about liability insurance. I'm hoping that you guys do have directors and officers insurance, correct? Okay. That's priority. And then somehow the liability can be linked, at least you have yourself covered. Okay, thank you.
This year, 175 Lakeshore Drive, for the bands, and other entertainment that we have coming in here, do we require that they have liability insurance? If somebody comes and trips and breaks a leg, or would be liable for that, or do they have insurance to cover that?
I think the bands have insurance to cover themselves, okay?
Do we get a copy of that before they start?
I don't know. It's one of the questions that the insurance company asked on Friday, and I'm working with Lynn to try to get a better definition from that.
Thank you.
Probably don't need that. Tucky Pond 39 Bridgewood Road. So I'm a treasurer of 3 different hunting, fishing, sportsman clubs, which is much more dangerous than anything I do. Just saying on the day. And the only company in the United States that will insure all 3 of these is Philadelphia Insurance.
Yeah.
So check with your broker and see if Philadelphia.
I'm gonna guess who we use.
Okay, and okay, so Philadelphia Insurance is for the whole.
Thank you.
Any other questions relative to insurance? I'm off the hot seat. There you go.
Officer L 115 Lakeshore.
When people rent the pavilion, do they provide coverage for us COIs? It's one of the questions that's come up and we're working to find out. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, we're gonna move into lake quality. Corinne is not here, but she did write a report for me, to read to you. Our yearly treatment for invasive aquatic weeds will continue this year. It's scheduled to take place on July 8th, 2025, which is also on the calendar. It's also in the newsletters, and it'll be an email blast as well. This treatment is being conducted later again this year so that there is more growth to target. This date is noted on our printed calendar. Was announced in our spring packet, and reminders will go out via email blasts and usual signage placed around the lake. The signage is specific about use of the lake after treatment for specific activities. Swimming is safe to resume the day after, according to DEEP and Solitude Lake Management. A pre-treatment survey will be conducted on June 24th, 2025. So that's in 2 days. As most of you know, Solitude uses a small gas-powered boat for both days, so don't be alarmed if you see one. For those of you who are new residents, we go through a very thorough permitting process with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to obtain a permit to do this spot treatment with herbicides to curtail the growth of invasive aquatic plants. The pre-treatment survey determines where we treat. Without treatment, the lake could be quickly inundated with these plants. Here's the sad part. I am stepping down from my chair position on this committee by the end of the season. We are selling our home here. I have found a resident to take over the management of the annual invasive weed treatment, but the committee still needs a chair. The budget needs to be overseen, and there needs to be a renewed focus on curbing runoff into the lake, as that's where many of the unwanted nutrients are coming from. The town could be a potential partner in accomplishing this, but every resident has to take a part to play. Septic systems need to be maintained, and if possible, a system should be in place to keep homeowners accountable for this. And this is something that the board will talk about as well. But please feel free to email me with any questions you may have. And she's Corinne H. at lakehaywardct.com. Any questions that I may have helped with? Like where to sign up to be a chair? Okay. Next we have merchandise, and I don't know if Michelle was planning on talking, so I don't even know, unless she was here.
Well, my partner in crime, Michelle Grenier, we want to thank her for all her efforts.
Yeah.
We got fresh new merchandise, great logos, and come visit. They're being very well received, and you got your physical store back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. We have newsletter on the agenda, excuse me, and I just want to say, if you have, Gary Cohen is our newsletter editor, and if you have anything you want to write to the editor or you want to put in the newsletter, send it to newsletter@lakehaywardct.com, and Gary will put it in the newsletter. Yeah.
I want to apologize first for the newsletter that we got yesterday. There was not the letter I submitted, but there was some technical problems getting it onto Constant Contact. And I'm sure Laura will work out those problems. So the newsletter has basically several sources. One source is behind me and people that committees. I get that in the paper. A lot of stuff comes from I get off the internet. That I don't think you'll find any publication that has more events, different categories of events anywhere that pertains to us. The third is the photos I put into it. I put photos last night while I read it. The fourth is, it depends on you guys. I want to start a new page, and it's called Good News. As long as organizations like belong to have that. For instance, send me information about anniversaries, weddings, graduations, births, anything good news that you want to share with the rest of us as a community. And I'd like to put that in there. So it's something good to read. If you want a copy of yesterday's newsletter, send me an email to newsletter@lakehaywardconnecticut.com. Just put in June 21st as the date, and I'll send you a PDF. Questions?
Again, Bob Sudo, 150 Lake Shore Drive. 2 questions.
The first is, are hard copies available in the kiosk where it used to be?
I don't know. Not my area.
They're not available for sure yet.
Will they
Actually,
be-
they came out early.
Yeah, will they be available?
It's something the board's gotta talk about. We're trying to move away from doing that. It's expensive. And most people are like from them. We will consider it because we get a lot of.
And my second question is, will they come out on Thursday or Friday before Saturday?
They usually always come out Saturday morning around 10 o'clock.
Can we move that to Friday for people who are traveling from home to come down, so they have notice of the events on Saturday?
We can talk about that. It's kind of hard because we're squeezing in up till Wednesday and it's only a week apart, so it's hard to do that.
The next event should be in, I put them in pretty extensively for the whole year. And, it's actually the week afterwards, you'll see that in the newsletter that comes out each Saturday.
Thank you, thank you.
Other questions? Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. Let's learn that the technical difficulties were me, just so we all know. But I wanted to make sure the information got out to you, and I was not in town, but you got it. We'll move into properties, and we're gonna let Chris, Papalizio speak on that.
Good morning, everyone. Chris Papalizio, if you don't know me, 161 Lakeshore Drive. As Lori pointed out, properties are being managed a little bit differently this year. We are very fortunate to have folks that have managed the properties for a number of years. You know, Dave Edgington is still helping out, Gary Peterson, who's here right next to him, and Phil Sabo are still very much helping out, and we appreciate their guidance because they are the ones that really know how to manage the properties. So there's some things that we have done that are more routine, and this is where Gary and Dave's insight and Phil's was invaluable for the new crew that's taking it over as volunteers. If you are interested in joining this new crew, it's Team Reach. You download the Team Reach app, and the group code that you type in is PULA214, and you're automatically a member. So we had someone do this while Lori was talking. So we're up to 43 members, and I want to thank everyone. We had over 20 folks help in the spring, late spring, to put the swim lines and the docks in, and it was a big success. We also had folks remove the hay bales and the sandbags, which was also a huge help. And the beaches look terrific, thanks to John Allegra. We are aware of a couple of items I'll mention that were brought to our attention. The security lights in the parking lot. If you've noticed, there's only one that's functioning. We're getting a quote to have the rest of the lights fixed. If you see something, please bring it to the board's attention. If a kayak rack or boat rack is in need of repair, send an email, send a text, put it on the Team Reach site. You could simply respond to everyone or just respond to somebody directly. The leaders are on there. Lisa Hobart, myself, Julia, and Lori are the leaders. You could send us an email or a text directly to that Team Reach site, and we'll add it as an event. We've had tremendous success with participation. Everyone is so willing to say, you know what, I'll help out. I have time on that Saturday, and I'll give an hour to fix something, to address an issue. So if you see something that needs repair around that's part of the pool of property, please reach out and we'll get it set up. And then if it needs some funding, we'll work on that as well.
Keeps the cost down.
Yes, it does. It keeps the cost down and it keeps the volunteers up. I'm good. I'm gonna throw this in.
So I just wanted to thank everyone. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer any questions right now. Otherwise, we'll move on. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Public safety. We're just gonna briefly talk on this, but there is a lot in the works right now. We've been experiencing a lot of nighttime activity here. A lot of non-members, some members. So the board is working on that, and we've been addressing it. We also are looking into a lot further signage, so that people will understand that we are a private and not public community. So stay tuned. There'll be more updates on that in August when we finalize. We're working with Dave Burton and John Mays. We're both affiliated with the law enforcement. So they're helping us with the signage and where it will be and what it should say to protect us. So is there any questions? Oh, okay. So also so the tennis courts are also being visited late night after 9 p.m. when they're stated on the signs that they're closed at 9 p.m. So now at 9 p.m., one of us will come down and we lock them at 9 p.m. and that's been a success so far. And then they're open again at 8 a.m. when it's stated on the sign. Any questions on that? A consideration going forward, and this will be something that we'll talk more about in August when we can actually take a vote or not. But there's been a lot of discussion with the courts committee and the board on whether we lock them all day long and then members get a code. We've had non-members so I come there 3 times a week. So we're not really sure how to move forward with that. So we are talking about it, and it is something that we'll probably vote on in August. So keep that in mind. If you can think of any pros or cons, feel free to email us, any of us, and if you have thoughts on it. Any questions?
I'm very talkative today.
Bob, thank you. And wait, before you talk, I just wanted to tell you, we do have a printer that we received as a donation. If the printer can print, we can do black and white newsletters. But we'll put a few in there. You're welcome.
My concern is the public use of the courts, outsiders coming in, and the liability attached to that. I would strongly urge you to lock the courts regardless and have members ask you to enter the courts.
Thank you. So these are thoughts, just, everybody think about it. So everybody think about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more in August, as the board talks about it a little bit more, with options. And which next brings us into courts, which is also first. So
Again, I'll be brief. As everyone can see, the courts are beautiful. Yesterday was an ideal day at the lake. The beaches were crowded. Everybody was having a picnic and having a lovely time. The courts were also crowded. I believe they were used, all the tennis and the pickleball courts were being used throughout the day, and they're in terrific shape. When the courts were originally created, they did a really exceptional job with our courts. They were done the right way. Our courts were done somewhere around 1999, and the asphalt never lifted. You guys go to the courts in Colchester, those courts are brand new and they're in disrepair. So they need to be completely redone, which is a very expensive cost. Our courts were refurbished and they're in terrific shape. And what I would like to do is just thank a few of the folks that were on our committee. Our committee was the ideal and best practice committee, in my opinion, because of the folks that were on the committee. Keith Marvin, Tom Landers, Bill Sabo, Chris and Tom Terrell, and Pete Rutledge. Everybody on the committee, we met monthly, everybody showed up. We wanted to be positive, everybody remained positive. We may disagree on something, but we all remained positive and professional. It was a privilege for me to be the chair on such a great committee. We've completed all of our items. There's a couple of items that Lori pointed out. We're holding back $1,400 for 2 locks. These locks are very sophisticated gate locks. If there is a yes vote in August, these are a push-in code lock, which we could change whenever we want. We could just provide it to our members. And then if it does get to the outside, we could change that code and resend that to our members. But we'll send out pictures of what we've investigated and what we believe would be the best situation for our courts to keep them safe and keep everybody out that needs to remain out. There's one thing that I would like to remind everyone. Our courts have been repaired. Some of the larger cracks had repaired using a rubber membrane. And the one thing that they're most vulnerable is to pets. So we've had to ask and remind folks to keep the pets, primarily dogs, out of the courts. Even if you just come there and to say hi to a friend that's playing, that's really not acceptable because their claws, if you think of a rubber membrane, if they tear up that rubber membrane, it's damaged permanently. So we want to keep the courts looking beautiful, and we're going to do that every 2 to 3 years. When you see a superficial crack, we're asking that company to come back every 2 to 3 years for a very minimal cost to do something called a butter repair to keep the superficial cracks from developing into a large crack. So that's all I have. Just wanted to say what a great job that this committee was with my trouble.
Thank you, Chris. Budget, Tish Mega.
Good morning, everyone. Don't have too much to report yet. The committee has started the process. We've had 3 meetings. We're anticipating a couple more. The thought is we would have something out prior to the July 13th town hall. So everybody could take a look at it, come to the town hall meeting if you have questions or suggestions or concerns. Then the budget will go to the August board meeting for their approval, and then we'll do a full vote here at the annual meeting in August. So we're still pretty early in the process, but we're definitely anticipating meeting all of those dates. So stay tuned for probably in the newsletter. We'll get it out to you before that July 13th meeting. So you'll have time to look at it and then make any, concerns or questions known at the meeting. Unless you have any other questions.
Thank you, Chris. And if I can do all about the committee, thank you. In Pelton, our dam guy.
Good morning, my name is Sid Pelton. If I haven't had the pleasure to meet you, I'm the damn guy. And I've got a lot of things to report this morning, all of which are good. But I respectfully ask that you hold your questions to the end, just to be an expedient presentation of time. 80% of what I'm going to share with you, I've learned in the last 2 weeks. So the rock has moved regarding the dam. The dam committee is now operating on 4 legs. The first leg is the association and the residents on the east side. One of my primary missions is to keep both parties informed as to what is the status of the project,
where are the landmines, what are the issues, what are the political issues, and to do so, there are going to be forums like this through the summer. We haven't set the dates for where we may have a public meeting again. Like I said, July 15th will be the next one. And there is now a byline in the newsletter called "Damn it." Now, how you pronounce it is up to you. Damn it. Damn it. Whatever. But again, another mode of communication will be in the newsletter, and the counterpart across the lake is called the East Side Gazette. It's edited and published by Wolf Costa, who's also on the dam committee. So the East Side has a direct conduit to what's going on. So moving forward, a lot of different things to talk about. DEEP, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, my best friend. On June 2nd, I wrote to our contact person, Carl Kaczynskis, and said, so, where are we at? Where is the Lake Hayward Dam project process? Pause. We have all the information. Kyle, that wasn't the question. Turns out that it's going to take a while for DEP to process all the information. There needs to be a 30-day public information process for the public, where we define the public to be, to comment on the dam. Target date for a DEP permit is September. October, November. Candidly, I don't know when we're going to get the permit. The mission critical part is that's the key to the lock that unlocks the process for how we move forward. So right now, we're continuing the standby, but I do see a little light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not an oncoming train. We have identified a subcommittee of the dam committee to work with contractors. 3 incredibly intelligent, knowledgeable engineers. These guys eat, sleep, and drink number crunching, planning, contingencies, all of that. Dave is on the committee. John Gilmore is in the back, and Paul Costa is the East Side representative. They have identified 10 potential contractors to consider for the dam project. We're doing a little background and research activity. Is it possible that some contractors might say, no, sorry, the project's too small? Some contractors may say, you know what, we're booked up the last 2 years. Thanks for asking, but whatever. But again, our clock does not start until we have the DEP permit for 2 reasons. We don't want to get the cart before the horse. And some overtures to contractors a long, long time ago, in the early phases of this project, they often said, until you get the permit from DEP, don't even talk to us. Because they appreciate as well. That is the key that unlocks the door to start this project. The 4th leg of the platform is the town of East Hampton. 10 days ago, I went over to the town hall and I met with Jim Ventris, who is the land use commission guy on the town. And I went there with an agenda of 3 things. I said, Jim, I need a coach. What is the best way to approach your commission and present the dam project? What is the best way to approach Inland Wetlands Commission and discuss the dam project? And last but not least, what is the best way to approach planning and zoning and present the dam project? Much to my delight, he said, you don't have to. DEP trumps the town. Oh, now, yeah, that's check the box. Now, being the ultimate professional, I responded and said, oh, Jim, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. That eliminates a lot of things that I thought I might have to do. Inside, I'm going, yes! So Things are cooking with deep. We don't have to engage the town in Mother May. Another part of dealing with the town was an epiphany I had on Wednesday. As things are starting to roll along, I decided to take a look at the GIS mapping of all the properties and all of these have and look at the dam. Because I know at some point in the near future, I want to reach out to the two abutting property owners and get them up to speed of what's in view, what's happening, what's going on, and where things lie. As I look at the GIS map of the Lake Hayward Dam, it appears to me that 85% of the dam is owned by POLA and 15% of the dam is owned by the town. Quick email, Wednesday, 4 o'clock. Jim, I just looked at the GIS map. Here's my interpretation. What do you think? So that jury is still out. But think of the implications. Wouldn't it be nice if the town picked up 15% of the tab to do the dam? That clearly goes to the plus column. But also, do we want to form, or could we, should we, may we form a joint venture with the town as a partner moving forward? Jury's still out on that, board's got to discuss that, and a lot of other things. But then that generates a lot of other questions. Okay, so what are the town protocols for insurance, workers' comp, inspections, all of that? Might have to work that out. And so now, if we enter into a joint venture with the town, there are other questions that need to be addressed and answered. As a former fire chief, one of my questions has always been, okay, during construction, is Haywardville Road shut down, passed by one lane, shut down for a week, shut down forever, whatever. But now we have a conduit directly into the fire department to say, how are we going to manage this and what are the rules of the state and all of that. So those are the four legs of the platform. And now the big gorilla in the room, how much? Candidly, it is premature to ask that question. We haven't had any discussions with vendors. We haven't had any discussions for how it's going to be paid for. And Lori has given me my marching orders. Tim, you're the mission vision guy, not the money guy. Once the research is done and everything happens, then the board will be, well, they're going to be active all the way along. But when it comes to where do we go, approving contracts, paying for things outside Tim's wheelhouse. So that's a quick synopsis of where we are. I'm happy to take one or two questions, and I'll be hanging around afterwards for a more in-depth. Come on up. I don't fight.
Diane, 134 Longwood. So last year, you said that 45,000 was promised from the town of East Haddam at 15,000 a year. Is that still in place?
Yeah, it's still in place as an after-action payment.
Okay,
And as part of the Three Lakes Committee, the town gives each lake $15K a year.
okay,
We have been sandbanking 15, 30,
okay.
45.
That was one
75.
question.
Yeah, we're up to 75K now. But it's an escrow parked over here for when the dam is done, we get our 75K back. And if it continues to grow,
Yeah, well, as time goes on, the cost obviously is going to continue to grow. So my second question is, and I know we don't know the cost, I'm concerned about what I read about a special assessment going down to all of us in December 2025 to pay for this.
outside my wheelhouse,
I know, but I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know.
Timelines will depend on everything, and we don't even have a permit yet.
Right,
So there will be a full disclosure, full discussion with the membership. It'll be a referendum.
it will be voted on, correct?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
So the thing is, originally, trying to cram the vote into an August meeting when these timelines are just not, it's not fair to anybody. And we want to be able to give you the accurate information to vote on.
So we may not actually be voting on this in August. If the steps have not,
You absolutely will not be voting on it in August.
okay.
That will not happen.
I think that announcement though caused some alarm with some of the folks I've talked to in terms of,
Yeah, that may
what's
have,
it gonna be, and that's down the road then.
that may have slipped out some,
Thank
you know
you.
how it
Thank you.
goes, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, guys, he's in 25 Wildwood Road. I just don't understand this sense because I'm on the committee, but when the God bless us with the permit, is that a time limit on it?
Great question. A DEP permit is good for 3 years with a 1-year extension upon request. So in the spirit of Dave's question, we have a 4-year window to modify, adapt, and implement a plan, and I think that's a doable timeframe. All right, I'm going to be hanging around afterwards if you have additional questions, and thanks for your attention.
And all the records. Okay, events, Lynn Butler. She's here to tell you all the good stuff. I'm wild, but let's see. Okay, our social calendar is full. If you haven't looked at it, you really should go on the website and click on that events calendar because we have stuff going on almost every day. I want to thank Gary for the newsletter because with the information that he is putting out, we've got it scheduled like all the way through July. You can look on yesterday's newsletter and find all the major events all the way through July. So even if you miss something here and there, you can go back and look at it. And that's great because I forgot to put the band song out last night, but since it's already advertised, that's a good thing. Once again, Shannon McCain is my cohort in crime. She'll be doing bunco, left, right, center, trivia, cornhole, and new this year, family food, feud, and boozy bingo. So family feud, those couple Lizios, I can't wait to see that crew. Tish and Gail are doing Mahjong on Mondays and Thursdays, and they did mention that there's a lot of newbies this year. So if you're thinking you might want to learn Mahjong, you feel intimidated, me. It's a good group that's learning now, and I think it's something to think about at least. Lisa Long and Gail Kincaid are returning with the book club. It's been several years since we've had that. They're going to be meeting, I believe it's on Sundays, once a month or so. And Lisa Long and Kim Doyle are bringing back acoustic Sundays. Now, we started that last year, and I have to say, between Mary sitting on her paddleboard out on the lake and a number of us just sitting on floats or lying on the sand or whatever, it was really nice to have the live music just kind of in the background, very mellow. We have music bingo this year. It's a little difficult getting a lot of the bands. The prices are higher, so I was trying to find something that was a little bit more affordable, and music bingo was an option, so we're going to try that. I want to thank the 3 talented women of the lake who are sponsoring events. We have Karen Van Zetten, who is hosting a craft fair in July. Jan DePratty is doing a sip and paint, and Lisa Rogers is doing doormat painting. So they are not being paid for their time, and they're putting a lot of time into it. We will have to pay for supplies, but it'll be like $5 to $10, so not bad. Odds and Bones Food Truck returns next week. We did have Rustic Streets booked. Unfortunately, they had a family commitment that came up and they couldn't give us an alternate date. So we'll try for them again next year. We also have the Yummy Wagon. The Yummy Wagon is a newer business. These are kids that grew up on the lake and they're looking forward to coming back and meeting some of the families who have been here for a long time. So they'll be here, I think it's in August at some point. July 2nd starts Kids Bingo again. Linda Abel and Shannon will be taking care of that. Following week is Arts and Crafts with Lynn Macri and Karen Van Zetten. Again, these teams have been doing this for a couple of years at least, and they're returning once again. So I'd like to invite you to join us. Wonderful relationships develop as we get to know each other a little bit more and come together in less stressful situations. And
formal meetings. So come to the dances, come to our card games, whatever it is that we have, and say hi to a new neighbor. And have an amazing summer. Thank you.
Of course.
Shannon McCain, 12 Laurel Lane. So like Lynn said, we have, starting next week, next Sunday, the 29th, we have Bunko. Friday, July 4th. I know it's 4th of July. I know we're not supposed to have fireworks here at Lake Hayward, so I think it's a good night for trivia. We can make our own fireworks. We're gonna have trivia two times this year, one in July, one in August. Cornhole tournament is that Sunday, July 6th. I'm gonna need some boards. Dave, I know Dave has some, and Chris, you have some. So if we could have that, if you have some, that'd be great. Again, new this year is Family Feud, and I forgot about the Papalizio clan. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. Boozy Bingo, that's adults only. It's our version of chocolate bingo. I have written this all up. I have sent it to Gary. Gary is going to have it in the newsletter, I believe, next week. It's got all of the information, the times, if there's a fee, all fees, any fee that I collect, all the money goes back out in prizes. We don't keep anything. So it's just a nominal fee. People like playing for money. So the odds here are better than the casino lately. So everything happens here at First Beach. Registration is required for trivia, cornhole, and Family Feud. And all of my information is going to be in the newsletter. But I do have the registrations here if you want to see me out. So, thank you.
Are there any questions for the event, please? Okay. So we're going to go on to geese. I want to mention that Holly Landers is co-chairing with Evelyn, and Evelyn will be stepping down June 30th. So Holly will be our new chair of the geese committee. I'm not sure who wants to speak today. Who wants to speak? So Holly's going to speak to you today. And thank you, Evelyn, for everything you've done.
So, like you said, I am Holly Landers of 146 Lakeshore. And I also want to thank Evelyn for her dedication and persistence these past 5 years in working to control the geese population here at Lake Hayward, and therefore keeping our water clean. The geese would literally recognize her car or her hair, and then they really take off. But her efforts have set me up to succeed in my newly acquired obsession. But she is staying on the committee, thank goodness. By now, everyone's aware that we have fencing that's been installed at First and Second Beaches and along Little Beach, which has been very successful in keeping the geese off, and the beaches have been beautiful because they're nice and pristine, and we're not having to clean up after them. We will be installing fencing at Third Beach. We might be trying to piece something together this afternoon with the fencing that we ordered, because it's not coming in until Tuesday, but we'll try to get something going. For any waterfront property owners that might be interested, we did include the link for the fencing in the newsletter that came out yesterday. And I want to thank our small but mighty crew of volunteers that have been helping out, especially in First Beach. But we are hoping for more volunteers for Second and Third Beach. And we kind of hope that this is going to happen as people are realizing how helpful the fences have been. Ideally, the fence should stay up until people are on the beach, so that there's activity to keep the geese off, and then put them back up as the beach empties out. Our work schedule has been kind of a work in progress as we're trying to figure out the natural flow. It's been a little unusual because the weather has been cold up until yesterday. So we haven't always taken it down, especially when I put it some other days. But we expect there to be more activity, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more regular. But we've received a lot of positive comments, which is great. And we are open to any suggestions or feedback. We'll continue to work with Meg. We'd like to do that for nuisance wildlife control. By using the services probably most heavily in the spring season, having to do with nesting. So they'll look for pairs, they'll look for singles. We did unfortunately miss one nest, so we have 8 babies, which many of you I'm sure you've seen. But we did find the nest and we're able to bandage that one. So we saved us a few. Sorry, I get nervous talking to people. The number of bees you're seeing this year is lower and partly due to the bird flu, but I'd like to think it's our fencing too, making it, it's discouraging the returning migratory bees from wanting to hang out here. Because we did see a few weeks ago, like 17 flew in, but I haven't been seeing them lately, so I do think it's been effective. And the last thing is our waivers. Thank you to everyone who did fill out a waiver and submitted them. They essentially, we essentially received all waterfront properties on the whole side and a handful from each shore, which has really helped our efforts. These waivers are effective until the property is sold, so they don't need to be resubmitted. But having said that, we realized that there were a number of errors on the original waiver, so we have corrected that. And I do have copies if anybody is willing to sign it here today, or you can request it and then we can send it out to you. But anyway, thank you for your attention and support.
Thank you, Holly, and thank you for stepping up to, take on our nemesis. Next, we have Gail Kincaid, with the nominating committee.
Good morning. Thank you so much to our nominating committee. I'd like Pat and Judy and Dennis to stand up so that you know when we come to you, looking for your help and who we are. The nominating committee this year is looking to find 2 individuals who'd like to join the board. One for the third beach and one for First Beach. We do have some candidates who have expressed interest. We also have a number of incumbents who are renewing in their positions, but anyone is welcome to challenge them for those highly coveted positions. Online, you will find that there is a candidate nomination submission form. Please grab one if you'd like. Fill it out, get it to any of us or back to the secretary who will get it to us for you. If you're interested in filling one out or grabbing one today while I'm here, I brought a couple with me. Happy to hand them out. We'd like to have all of our interviews done by the end of, let's say the middle of July. After that, we'll be taking those nominations, we'll bring that to the August committee. And you get to vote on who you are electing on the board. Anybody have any questions? Look at the volunteers.
Thank you, Gail. Next is playground, and we have Cassie Toby and Bob Sudell, that have taken on as co-chairs, and doing a fabulous job, get a playground back in place. So, Cassie, you're gonna speak, right?
There's some handouts, there's only 30 copies, so if they wanna take one.
Yeah. So those are 1-page copies of the, PowerPoint of the official quotes, and then there are 2-page copies people can grab, we'll come back to that. Your mom did all the copies. Okay, so Cassie, so good morning, everyone. The Playground Committee has dedicated this winter to researching what it takes to replace our community playgrounds. Many of us here at the lake are invested in this project, and we are excited to be just a few months away from officially starting the build. The lake is home to many children, grandchildren, and visiting friends. Having a playground here at the lake is essential as a year-round accessible gathering space. Play is more than just fun; it's essential for healthy physical and mental development. A revitalized playground offers more than just a place to play. It enhances property values and a benefit to living in the community. We have been amazed by the support for this project from the community so far. Tag sales, bake sales, craft fairs, plant sales, fast raffles. Thank you, everyone. One family has even promised to donate all of their can return funds this year to this playground.
Before I begin, I have to credit Kathy for taking on the lead of this project. I live directly across from the playground, and I volunteered to be chair of the committee. Then Cassie came on, and she's co-chair.
She has done the bulk of the work on this committee, so thank you very much, Cassie. We will be installing a commercial playground. When choosing a commercial playground, there is required square footage surrounding the structure known as the use zone. We would like to get a structure similar to the previous design. The plan is designed with monkey bars, slides, and climbing structures. Our options are slightly limited with the space we previously had. The town has allowed us to extend the previous size by a few feet as needed. We also researched and discussed ground surfacing that will meet safety requirements and work best for us here at the lake. The ground options include form-placed rubber, which is the rubber mat type flooring, and rubber mulch or wood mulch. Wood mulch has done great with keeping the geese away. We also think it's the best option being so close to the lake. Doesn't leach chemicals and won't be a nuisance if rolling loose into the grass or lake. It's affordability, it's a plus as well. So we plan to go with that. We've spoken to 4 different playground companies, and that's what you have, and reviewed options of varying quality and price points. We are vetting the options for certifications by the governing safety standards, which are intense. And we plan to have a playground professionally installed so we can minimize litigation risk. We have printed several quotes in the playgrounds for you all to review. These all fit the desired design elements, but it's not easy to say we will be choosing one of these exact playgrounds, as the quotes have expired and the prices may change for worse or better. For example, some companies have given us discounts that may not be there here later. Tariffs and end-of-year price increases may also take effect. Ultimately, we hope to take advantage of expected sales at the end of the year. So come this August, we ask for a vote on a budget not to exceed a certain amount. Due to all the factors above, we cannot give a clear cost yet, as we are waiting until August to see updated price options. But the range for the displayed quotes we have received is between $33,000 and $60,000. Although a couple of them are in the $45,000 area, and most likely we'll go with that. Yeah, 40 or under. Thank you for everyone who has shown support for this project. Does anyone have any questions?
You probably didn't hear it. Question, is there a thought process of having a fence around it to keep any kind of external vehicle bikes and children inside?
No, I don't think a fence is a good option for that, but we'll consider that.
There is the wood fence, and I mean, personally, with my kids, I haven't had an issue. Anybody, you know, and even geese, like I said, you said, the geese seem to avoid it, whenever you move over there, that's why we want to stick with it.
So that was part of the too, the wildlife.
Yeah, so it's been fine so far, so keep that. But, I do want to note that when it comes to the budget and the cost and everything, all the fundraising is just extra help. It's not required. We're gonna make room for the cost of it.
Right, right.
We also had a question about swings. Swings will not fit into the existing footprint. So if we have a desire for swings, please let us know. We'll try to find a location, something else on the Second Beach area to install swings. But again, the footprint is so small that we're dealing with, swings are not a good option. Also, we have to consider liability and our insurance risk with swings, which are incredible.
Any other questions?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
There's a website.
Yeah, you can mail it, and we will have an address. I can send it out again.
Yes, so the checks will be made out to Pula, and then in the memo to write playground. And then you send it to the PO Box 230, that you would send any mailing to.
Yes, miss. You have a question?
You know, I'm the treasurer, so say, make sure you say.
How does it, is there any benefit of using any of these sites? I mean, I hate to say it, that people who live around the area that aren't members of the lake may very well bring your grandchildren or kids and play on the facility, even though we want to control it within my original fence way. So if it's gonna be wide open anyway, I guess is it worth having a broader?
Well, to park there, you need a
comment, so I mean, I guess there's reasons to keep people away, I guess.
There's, this got broken out there, that's what I call. Wait. And then there's additional charges and additional accounting. They go fund, GoFundMe makes money off of it.
Right.
Not a charity.
Gotta use the mic, guys.
Yeah, use the mic so we can hear.
Okay.
So everybody can hear.
Are there any other questions? All right, we look forward to having a wonderful playground installed sometime next year. Please be patient.
Thank you both, Nancy and Rob, you're doing an amazing job. Next on the agenda is walkways, and Julia is gonna give you an update on where we are on the school-owned walkways.
So y'all may remember we have 7. And we finished work on 6. And the 7th one is the one between Ridgewood and Lookout, and 32 Ridgewood and 38 Lookout. And if anyone's been by, it looks like a bomb went off. We've removed all the trees, the vegetation's running back, but that is a very difficult location because it slopes both north to south and east to west. And our dear friend and member, John Allegra, has been trying to figure out the engineering of how we're going to keep, cut that slope, make it safe. And the good news is you should be doing that work any time now. The weather's not been cooperating, and we get rain almost every other day, so he's been quite delayed due to the weather. So we temporarily closed that. And on the north end, the west end of that, up by 38 Lookout, we were going to remove that large oak tree that's in the middle of the walkway. We had a lot of rain come down the other day, and it damaged quite a bit of property up there. And so we were concerned about the safety. There are 3 homes close by, a lot of fences and playgrounds and chicken coops and children, dogs that we felt, and it is right in the middle of the walkway. So we felt as a board it was best to go ahead and remove that to avoid any future issues. So hopefully that will be done. And then in our capital budget for 25-26, we have 2,500 we set aside to work on the steps over at Ryan. I forgot what the number is. 255. The steps that go up. The 2 homeowners, the D'Amatos and the Smiths, have been maintaining those steps for forever. They keep them as safe as possible, but they are need a repair, and that's in our 25-26 budget. And then I have gone to the budget committee for 26-27 to then the next walkway that needs some repair is 99 Wildwood up to Ridgewood. That is a very old vintage with old railroad ties and stone. And the same thing will start occurring where those spikes will start coming up through the railroad ties will deteriorate such that the spikes are exposed. It's dangerous. So we've asked for capital improvement budget for that walkway. So hopefully people are using them and enjoying them. And if you have any questions, I'll gladly take them. And thank you to this committee that I've been working with, Mary Popolizio, and she's here. Maybe she was here. Yep. And John DiTomaso. I don't know if I saw John, but those guys have been phenomenal of keeping us focused and getting the work done. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. Well, we're ready for all the work we've done. The walkways are moving fabulous. And it's nice to bring them back and make sure they stay in good shape in perpetuity. Unfinished business. This is going to be a brief short-term rental update. We're going to give you a more in-depth one in August. However, the rental committee completed a draft of recommendations, and the ones that are not illegal, according to our attorney, we will incorporate into our rules and regs if they are not already incorporated. Which is why I'm not giving you specific details right now, because the board needs to update the rules and regulations with these recommendations. And then that, of course, will be presented to the membership. So that's kind of where we're with that now. We wanted you to know that, the rental committee did complete their task, and provided, recommendations. And you'll hear more about those in August. Any questions? New business, would be, and it's been in the newsletter. I don't know if it's been emailed last, but July 13th, which is a Sunday, will be, our town hall. And in the town hall, we can, it's an open forum. And we talk a lot about the budget and, different things of that matter. So the budget committee will be there. I believe Tim will be there. Dave Drew will be there. And many members that you may want to ask questions regarding a lot of financials. 10 a.m. And last but not least, I want to say a huge thank you to Evelyn for all that she's done. She's done events, she's done geese, she's done technology. She's offered a lot to the board over the years, and I just want to thank her for everything she's done. So Evelyn will be stepping down June 30th, from the geese and the board. So thank you. She's retiring. Is there any other new business? Okay, how about a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Everybody, have a great summer. And see you in July.
Let's get the table. Hey. Yeah. Very nice.